Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome back for another edition of the Fancast Live podcast. Once again, I'm here with my boy, Jamie Hollywood Barrett. We're going to talk New York Giants Week 2 win. Jamie, what is up? The fucking Giants are 2-0. I can't believe I'm even saying that. I would have predicted, a realistic record 1-1 maybe, but I was predicting 0-2 to start the season. And here we are, Wednesday, going into Week 3. A Monday night game against the Cowboys. There may or may not be a Dak Prescott in the lineup for the Cowboys, but we're staring 3-0 in the fucking face. What do you think about that?
It's unbelievable. It's a great feeling. I think when we talked earlier in the year about how the season would start, I thought 2-2 is possible. We already got the 2 wins, so right now we're looking at Dallas Monday night game, prime time, against the boys at home, and then we got the Bears the next week at home. So I like our chances for a good start. Historically, teams that go 2-0 have a much better chance of, I don't even want to say the word. You know what word I'm going to say? I'm not going to say it. Not here on this show right now. Not going to say it.
No, we're not gonna go that far. We're not gonna go that far.
But it's really cool to see, and I think we'll touch on this too as we chat here. Just seems like the morale in the building and the morale for Giants fans is hasn't been this high for seems like forever.
Well, the Giants started 2-0 for the first time since 2016, I think it was the last time the Giants started 2-0.
Yeah.
Who was the head coach then?
Ben McAdoo. He was on.
We made the playoffs that year, didn't we?
We did. That was the famous Odell Beckham boat trip with Trey Songz and some other rappers, and they took the wide receivers there. Couldn't think of a better place to go before Green Bay than to go to Miami and take some shirtless pics, passing joints around on the boat. But hey, that was a long time ago, and right now we're staring 3-0 in the face, man. We're getting ready for the boys on Monday night, dude. Let's go get it.
Hey, listen, the Giants got off to a really good start in this game against Carolina. They turned the ball over the first 2 possessions. Carolina had one on the opening kickoff, the other one on the Anderson fumble. But the thing was, even though the game started off really good and the Giants ended up getting 6 points, but that's my beef there. They only get 6 points. To me, I just felt like they needed to do more in order to get more points. I mean, they left 8 points on the board. I just think they could have done more. They could have scored some more points. Listen, we talk about this all the time, that the Giants just don't score enough points. They averaged below 17 points last year. They averaged 17 points the year before that, and we keep going back to that and saying the Giants need to score more points in order to win more. I mean, listen, we're 2-0. We shouldn't be 2-0. We haven't played like a 2-0 team. Maybe you see it differently. But I just don't think we play like a 2-0 team. But the thing is, we've done the things that we were supposed to do in these 2 games. Listen, under Joe Judge and Dave Gettleman, we made some bad play calls. We going back to that 2 quarterback sneaks.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
Oh,
Joe Judge being way too conservative, playing to lose. We're playing to win games right now.
Yeah.
That is the key right now for the New York Giants with Brian Daboll as the head coach, Joe Shane as the general manager. He's right off the bat in game 1. Was it game 1? Maybe it was game 1, week 1,
Yep.
4th and 1. Took a chance, went for it, got the first down. Something Joe Judge wouldn't have done last year. And like I said, we didn't play as well as we wanted to play, yet we went out and won these games. These are games that in years past we lose. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, it just seems that there's a belief in the coaching. There's so many limitations that we have on offense. First of all, we know that Daniel Jones is not someone that's going to lead us to any type of long-term playoff success. All right, I said that word once. Didn't say it earlier, had to say it now. But I just believe that, with Saquon Barkley fully healthy and confident, um, and Wink Martindale coaching the defensive guys up is really put a lot less pressure on the offense. Daniel Jones doesn't feel like he has to do everything himself. He's getting a little bit better at not taking a lot of hits. The first week, I think he took some hits he shouldn't have taken, but it seems like Brian Dable is not allowing Daniel Jones to put the game in harm's way, and he's playing Daniel Jones and trying to get him to be an effective game manager, a la trying to be towards the likes of an Alex Smith or one of these other quarterbacks that what the limitations are, but you want to play to his strengths. One of the things I really loved was that play call toward the end of the game when Daniel Jones had a keeper. He had an option
Yeah,
to go
the
outside
naked bootleg.
and he cut back inside. That's a big time play. And Tom Brady can't make that play, right? I mean, not every quarterback can make that play, have the athleticism to get there. And I'm glad he got down. So it
But
just seems
that
like,
was the play that a lot of people talk about because
yeah,
Daniel Jones on that very play has three options: one, run the ball; two, throw the ball; three, keep the clock going, take the sack.
yep. And
Don't
he
throw the
did made a
ball
good
away
decision.
because if he throws the ball away, the clock stops.
Yep.
And that was the most important thing. Now I don't know if Daniel Jones looked down the field because I think his first instinct was to run for the first down. And to be honest with you, Daniel Jones really hasn't been good on his legs the first 2 weeks. That was probably his best play of the first 2 weeks of the season. That run right there sealed the deal. It gave the Giants the win, gave them the first down, run out the clock. Giants win. They're 2-0.
Yeah, I love the call, and you give it to your quarterback, have him build some confidence. And Daniel Jones, he can scoot a little bit, so I really liked how they designed that. And I think you touched on this earlier. I think earlier in the game they only got 6 points on they got a gift on the first kickoff right there. It seemed like Kafka was getting a little fancy, which I'm not going to really kill him on that because he doesn't have a lot to work with, and he wants to get positive chunk plays and get in the end zone. But I think we could have just kept it simple to maybe in the beginning, giving it to Saquon Barkley. We'll get to the Dallas game too, but it's just a phenomenal all-around win. I guess, what do you think? What's that one thing that you think the Giants are doing right now, or that last week? What do you think that one thing, if you could put a finger on it?
There's three things. There's three things that the Giants have done in the past that they haven't done so far this season, and I wrote them down. One, we're not seeing the bad penalties. Two, we're not seeing the bad play calling, and three, we're not seeing the head coach calling bad timeouts because the team is not set or the players have been called out or
Yeah.
whatever the case is. Those are the three things that I see that we haven't seen in the past, and I think that's a big reason why the Giants are winning right now as opposed to losing.
I totally agree with that as well. I would say the one thing that we didn't see, there was zero turnovers last week for Daniel Jones. I mean, he's a guy that since he's been in the league, he's led the league in turnovers. So even though it was a dogfight, it was an ugly win, all these games are going to be ugly. It's going to be a nasty dogfight Monday night against a team that probably has more talent overall. And it's going to be a dogfight the next week too, but you don't turn the ball over. Even though we didn't get as many points as we wanted, we got a few, put some pressure on Baker Mayfield and that very depleted Carolina offense. Their offensive line is not good. Baker Mayfield is really not stepping up like he really should. So we took advantage of that as well. And can't say enough about Wink. The defense, it just seems like in years past that teams would just be able to, it would be 3rd and 10, 3rd and 11, and they would just backbreak a third down on us. And for whatever reason, it just seems like we're getting off the field. Like Julian Love made a big play toward the end of the game, and he got in the backfield and got a sack. I mean,
How many
we
times?
don't
How many
we
times
don't
in the
see that.
last couple of seasons have we seen 3rd and long, 3rd and short, where the opposing team ends up getting a first down over and
Yeah.
over and over again? I mean, it didn't. It's not like they didn't do it in the first 2 weeks against the Giants. There were some plays where they did end up getting, a first down on the third and long or a 3rd and short, but not as consistent as it has been in the past year or two. Um, I was just going to say something. There was one play that Daniel Jones almost coughed up the ball with that interception. That it was towards the end of the first half. I think it was
Yeah.
that if he takes that ball, if he intercepts that ball, that's going back for 6 points.
Oh, for
So
sure.
Daniel
Yeah.
Jones better
You got to take the
he
breaks when you
better,
get them, dude.
yeah, he's got to bless himself on that one because that should have been a pick
Yep.
six, and that probably should have been, a difference maker in the game because if Carolina takes that 6 point lead going into the half, I'm not so sure that the Giants can do
Yeah.
enough to come back and get that one back. I mean, I could be wrong, but
I,
that's
I
that's the
agree with
way I
you
saw it.
there.
If
And
there's one,
also,
oh no, go ahead, bro. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, so I was like, also, too, I think the one thing that I got to give Jones some kudos on is in the second half, they go up 13-6. And, Jones is really getting nowhere. And he just orchestrated a really good drive down the field. He was throwing to Daniel Bellinger. Um, he was throwing to Dan Hudson or Jordan or whatever his name, Bellinger, Hudson. He was passing to really no-name guys. And that kid Bellinger, who we got in the fourth round, he made a very impressive touchdown run, was able to, get to the sideline, put a little burst of speed, and then he sniffed out the end zone. So, the Giants, listen, I mean, I'd like the Giants to start better and get more points in the first half, first quarter. Um, but it was an impressive drive in the moment. Fans getting a little restless. Carolina puts one in the end zone. Mayfield put a good drive together. The next drive, the fact that Jones was able to get in the end zone shows a lot about Jones, how he was able to kind of figure it out. And also to Kafka, because he's the one calling the plays. So that was a big drive in the game. If the Giants go 3-and-out there, maybe some doubts creep in. Maybe the defense doesn't hold up. So I thought that one drive in the third quarter, I believe, was pretty big.
Yeah, I think it was the third quarter. There was a Daniel Jones pass to Richie for 15 yards.
Richie James,
Then
yeah,
there was a 16-yard run by Saquon Barkley, and then you had the 15-yarder to Hudson, and then you had the what was it, a 16-yard touchdown
to
to
Bellinger, yeah,
Bellinger. That was a great play. I mean, Daniel Jones did a phenomenal job on that drive, but we want to see more of that.
yeah,
I like to see Kafka open up this offense. Obviously, you don't have a whole lot to play with here. You got
yeah.
Kenny Galladay, who didn't get a target. I think he was on the field for maybe two
He's
plays.
not involved, yeah.
What's his face?
Tony,
Kadarius Toney was on the field for maybe what? He got targeted twice in this game.
he did
If
make
I'm
a big
correct,
play that got called back, which was really a bogus call. He did have a 36-yard catch and run. That was a good play, but he
was that the face mask or was that
yeah.
the yeah, that was the
That
face
was a
mask.
bad. That was a bad. I think that was a ticky tack call, but I think so. Tony did play a lot more snaps. I think the snap count's going up now. He was out of practice, I think, today with hamstring soreness. So Dable, your boy, what Mike said the other day. I mean, he's always nicked up, but I like his attitude. I mean, it seems like he's not getting big yardages, but he's kind of waiting in the weeds. I mean, we're gonna need him this year. I mean, listen, his number will be called. It hasn't really been called yet. He's gotten some opportunities, but he's going to be a back there. There's just not enough talent on this team. Sills lit it up in preseason. I mean, he doesn't really get open that much. He did have a big third down catch, but I'm going to expect more from Tony. But yeah, his snap count is getting better.
Who would have
So
thought
that's
that
one thing.
who would have thought that Sills and Richie would be leading the team in receptions and yards? I would have never guessed it. I would have never
No,
thought, for a second. I thought that, granted, Galladay didn't get a whole lot of playing time in the preseason. I thought he was going to be the guy that, this offense would be designed around, but
yeah.
not quite. But all right, let's get into one, because I asked you before, I texted you before we came on the show to give me one takeaway from this game that you felt won this game for the New York Giants in Week 2 against Carolina.
So I mentioned the zero turnovers before but I'm going to say I think the offensive line looks pretty competent. Um, Daniel Jones is not on his ass. He's not running for his life. So it's allowing the play to develop. It's allowing guys like Richie James to get open. Some of these no-name guys that are not going to kill you with speed down the field. And Andrew Thomas is one of the highest rated tackles in the NFL right now. So he was my guy beginning of the year, but I think the offensive line, as ragtag as it can be, I think that's one of the differences in this game. They were pretty much better than last week at pass protection, and the run protection against a pretty good run defense was pretty stout as well. So I'm going to give them some kudos for this week.
Yeah, I'd have to disagree on that one because I really thought the offensive line was kind of shaky at times. I don't think Thomas had his best game, and Neal didn't do very well either. The interior of that offensive line wasn't opening up the holes for Saquon Barkley. I mean, in the first half, I think I wrote down the numbers. In the first half,
Didn't have a big first half for sure. I think it was
yeah,
0 yards on 8 carries. Yeah.
Where the hell did I write it? Well, yeah, here it goes. Barkley had 3 yards in the first half. He had 194 total yards in week 1. Daniel Jones had 67 yards. He had 188 yards in week 1. He had the 2 touchdowns. So, me, quite honestly, I don't think the offensive line was the key in this game. But what I do think was the key in this game was Wink Martindale. Wink Martindale was key in this game because he not only did it in week 1, he took away their biggest asset, the Titans, and you know who that is, Derrick Henry. I think the Giants did a phenomenal job, controlling Derrick Henry. And in week 2, I think they did a phenomenal job. His defensive scheme did a phenomenal job controlling Christian McCaffrey. Because how many catches did Christian McCaffrey have in this game? I know he busted out for one long run, but
Yeah, but other than that,
he wasn't all at all involved in the passing game, which was
Yeah.
phenomenal. Xavier McKinney was glued to Christian McCaffrey the entire fucking game, and that in itself, I mean, you couldn't have asked anybody on this team to do what Xavier McKinney did. I think he did a good job. Julian Love did a phenomenal job. These two guys played most of the time in the box, especially McKinney in this situation. I mean, I don't know how many times he rushed the quarterback, but he was on a rush many a times in this game. I think Wink Martindale called a really, really good game. He took away Christian McCaffrey. Like I said, he only had that one long run. And other than that, Christian McCaffrey was not a factor in his game at all. I think Wink Martindale gets kudos. But the guy who I think should be the player of the game, who do you think I'm thinking about right now?
He scored player of the game.
He scored most of the points for the Giants.
I would say Graham Gano. Dude, he's money.
Yes.
He is money, dude.
He was unbelievable. He had the 2 field goals in the first quarter after the 2 fumbles to give the Giants a 6-0 lead. Then he kicked the 51 and the 56 in the fourth quarter. The 56-yarder, I think, was the eventual game winner. He's got to get the game ball. He was phenomenal. I mean, he was money the whole time, and I'm glad he's on our team.
100%. And he's going to have to do more of that. I mean, he's going to have to – there's going to be a lot of games down to the wire with 50-yarders. And it's really good to have a guy that has that confidence, to kind of kick it right through. So it's a blessing to have him. So knock on wood, he continues to be money like he's been.
Yeah, so now we're staring at 3-0, possible 3-0 against the Dallas Cowboys Monday night. It's prime time. This is, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen here because I'm getting this feeling like the Dallas Cowboys are going to rush back Dak Prescott for this game. I don't see it. I think it's just, blowing smoke. But I think the Giants have to get ready for Dak Prescott regardless because if he does play, they need to be ready for it.
Yeah.
I'm just going to assume that Cooper, what the hell's his name?
Cooper Rush.
Rush is going to be starting for the Cowboys. if Cooper Rush starts for the Cowboys, I think the Giants' chances of going 3-0 Monday night are really, really good. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I don't want to. The Dallas Cowboys, what scares me about them is their defense. Dan Quinn is one of the best callers on defense. He's up there with Wink, I would say. Micah Parsons is probably the best player on the field. He's a special player. I mean, he can cover guys, but what he does best is getting after the quarterback from really anywhere. So Kafka's going to have to do a good job of kind of staying away from him, maybe allowing him to blitz, throwing over the top. Saquon's going to have a big night. Saquon's going to have to play better than he did against Carolina and get some more creases. This is going to be a big test. Dallas, the offensive line is not what it used to be. They're going to be somewhat limited with Cooper Rush, but he's definitely not afraid to throw the ball. So if Giants have to be honest in their coverage, because Cooper Rush, he's not afraid to make plays. He'll throw a pick. I mean, he might turn it over, but he's not going to sit back there and try to, just manage the game. He's going to take his chances. So we got to be prepared for that. Giants are at home. We haven't beaten Dallas in forever. So there might be some of that embedded into the game. Dallas might have our number in certain matchups. But this is a different Giants team, and Saquon is a little bit different. I mean, what really could be big for us is if we get Kayvon Thibodeau or Azeez Ojulari back or both. That's going to be huge for us because our defense to win this game is going to have to create some turnovers, I believe. I think if this game is even on the turnover margin, I think they might get us. But if we can get some turnovers, whether that's on special teams or on defense, that's going to be a big factor. Because I don't think Jones is going to be able to, score at will against this Dallas pass rush. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I know both Kafka and Wink Martindale are going to do whatever they can with what they have. I don't know what the news is on Kayvon Thibodeau and Azeez Ojulari right now. I know they're saying that they're close. I don't know what the fuck that means. But if they do play Monday night against the Cowboys, that opens up weapons like Julian Love and Xavier McKinney to, do other things. Maybe even add more to the pass rush than they have in weeks 1 and 2 when they didn't have Thibodeau and Ojulari. I mean, how many times did they sack Baker Mayfield this week?
A couple times. I think OJ and Zimenez, had a big sack. So the guys filling in have been doing good. That was a big sack
at the end of the game too.
Yeah. Yep.
So I mean, they've done what they could with what they have, and you look at the record. They're 2-0. So just imagine what it's going to be like when the likes of Thibodeau and Ojulari come back, and what a big weapon Xavier McKinney is going to be in the box, where whether it's rushing the passer or stopping the run, and then Julian Love is going to be all over the field doing his thing.
Yeah.
Adoree Jackson, I think, had a pretty good game. I think he's had a pretty good season so far. I'm a bit surprised about that because of the fact that a lot of us didn't see Adoree Jackson as your 1A cornerback, but I think he's done a pretty good job. I mean the secondary, yeah, exactly, and that's what makes Adoree Jackson good right now is the fact that he's getting the playing time. He's doing his thing. He's getting paid good money to do it, and the Giants are happy with his performance. And as long as everybody is happy, Adoree Jackson's going to be happy. But I think the on the offensive side of the ball, I think they need to take more chances. I don't know if I trust Daniel Jones to take those chances. To me, Daniel Jones seems indecisive at times. I don't think he's checking his options, whether it's 1, 2, 3, or 4, or maybe 1, 2, 3. He's not looking down the field. He knows where he wants to go with that ball, and I think he's at times he's giving it away. He needs to do a better job. I think that he needs to run out of the pocket when he needs to run out of the pocket. Like when he needs to run, he needs to run. When his first instinct is to run, when the pressure, when the pocket starts to collapse on him, his first instinct is to run. And I don't think he checks downfield for his receivers. I think he had a few opportunities in that game against Carolina where he could have had
He
some,
missed Shepard.
yeah, for a big
Shepard
play.
got rerouted, but it was still off. I mean, it wouldn't have hit him. So he missed a couple. But
I don't know. I
normally
don't
in
know
his
if he
career,
had the
he's been
window
okay.
to get it into him, but
Yeah.
I think had he seen, if he would have just gone through his progressions like he should have, I think he would have gotten a receiver downfield. But like I said, once the pocket starts to collapse, I think he starts to become indecisive. He doesn't know what to do with the ball, and that's what scares me about Daniel Jones right now is his
Yeah.
indecision.
That's a good point. What scares me too is like he didn't fumble last week, but he's been a fumbler. And you got Micah Parsons, and you got Dallas is going to be teeing off trying to get turnovers on Daniel Jones just as badly as we have to do it against their backup. And a good defense should get turnovers against a backup QB. They're going to expect to do the same. This is a big division game, prime time. They've killed us the past couple of years, so I think the Giants right now, being 2-0, are in a good spot. They're feeling good about themselves. Dallas might be more desperate. The Eagles are 2-0. Dallas wants to win this division. This is a big game for Dallas too. It's a very big game for Mike McCarthy, who is, his seat got a little bit cooler
Hotter.
last week. Well, last week they beat the Bengals. We'll see how good the Bengals are, but it's hot right now, and they have expectations. And listen, I mean, you got Jerry Jones talking them up, and the Giants are a team that a lot of their fans they think that they should beat. So there's going to be an emphasis on the turnover battle. I think Dallas has some scary corners that like to take chances. If Daniel Jones is eyeing his receivers like he did week 1 against Tennessee on that awful interception, it's going to be bad news. But if there could be, if Saquon can hit a couple big ones, if our offensive line can protect just enough, it's going to be a dogfight. I mean, this is going to be another game, probably in the teens, in the late, low 20s again. Not sure what the over/under is, but it's really going to come down to turnovers. Jones, being an established starter, should have the confidence right now to have the advantage. Home crowd. There's going to be a lot of Dallas fans in there too. They always show up. So it's going to be mayhem at the stadium. But we just do not have the offensive firepower to just, all right, we can't be down 10 points. That can't happen. In order for us to win, it needs to be close, where it's like a touchdown away or a field goal away. We can't let them get a cheap touchdown on a blown coverage, or, we can't let Zeke get going. We can't let them get any confidence, because then their defense is going to, what they're going to do? They're going to send everybody, and then you got to rely on Jones to, take care of the football. And that's not been something he's been really good at. So those are the things that, worry me in this game. It's going to be a good one though, but it's going to be very close again.
The one thing I do have confidence in right now is Kafka and setting up Daniel Jones to succeed, and I think I think that Kafka is going to put together a good plan for this game against the Cowboys, knowing their defensive strengths. But again, it's going to come down to Daniel Jones and taking care of the football, making the reads, getting the ball to his receivers. But again, it also depends on what Daniel Jones is working with, because if you still have guys like Tony out and Wan'Dale Robinson out, these are guys that are key components to this offense. You can't rely on guys like Richie and Sills.
No.
For every game, because basically what teams are doing, and I've realized that the first 2 weeks so far, is they're saying to Daniel Jones, you come beat us. We're going to stop the run, but if you want to win this game, you're going to have to beat us. And It's going to come down to that. It's going to come down to Daniel Jones making the big play, not just one big play, and I'm talking about a handful of big plays. It's just that's what it comes down to. That's how you're going to beat the Cowboys. You got to beat them. You can't just rely on going out there and saying, all right, 20 points is going to get it done as long as we keep the Cowboys off the board. No, you can't think like that. But
No,
that's the thing with this team this year. The culture has totally changed. Last year, we would have said, the Giants are going to lose this game because they're playing to lose. This year, they're playing to win.
yeah,
That's the culture that Brian Dable has built. That's the culture that Kafka brings as well. Wink Martindale. This is the culture. This is the change that we have seen between this regime and last year's regime where Joe Judge was doing a quarterback sneak on two straight plays because he didn't want to cough up the ball, fumble it,
that
or
was,
throw an interception because
that was
he
good.
had Fromm, under center. Those are things that just aren't going to happen this year. But like I said, in order for the Giants to win this game against the Cowboys and go 3-0, they're going to have to do all the right things and make the least amount of mistakes.
They're going to have to do more big splash plays than they have in their first two games. I mean, they did just enough in Tennessee, bailed out by the missed field goal, played their hearts out. They played a very depleted Carolina. Dallas is a good football team. I don't know what their record is going to be at the end of the year. Losing their quarterback is a big deal, but they're a solid team. I mean, they're ahead of us probably in their talent and their development with all their guys. So we're going to need Kadarius Toney to pop off a 35-yard end around or making guys miss. We're going to need a play from Richie James, who has been overachieving this year, but we're going to need another play. We're going to need Sterling Shepard to have a play. We're going to need Barkley to pop off a run. We're going to need to play sound special teams. We cannot turn the ball over on a special teams. We need, Gano's got to do his thing, and, we got to get him in position to kick field goals. I think if the Giants move the ball, as long as they're in around the 30-yard line, they're going to be kicking and trusting their defense. I have a suspicion that Kayvon Thibodeau, you figure he's a guy that loves the spotlight, which was a kind of like looked down upon before the draft, but he's been an outstanding teammate from all accounts. So I'm looking forward to this. Would be the game where he would maybe start and make a big splash. If we can get those guys in, we need to turn the ball over from Cooper Rush too. So our defense needs to, once again, Herculean effort, turnover-free football. Daniel Jones, even if he has one turnover, that means we got to get three. We need to have two more turnovers than them, I think, to win this matchup. We have to. I'm not really afraid of Dallas's running attack that much. They do have a couple guys that can burst open. Like Zeke is more of a pounded guy. Tony Pollard's pretty good out of the backfield. They have tough guys that can make you miss. CeeDee Lamb is a very talented wide receiver. Hasn't had a big year, but he's going to want to prove something. Cowboys have a lot to prove, and they have a lot to play for. So they're going to be hungry. The Giants are going to be hungry. But I would agree with you. It's really limiting the mistakes. And on third down, on third and long, don't try to force it. Just throw it away. Live to another down. Try not to get behind. We cannot be behind by more than 7 points in this game. If that happens, we're in trouble. Got to keep it within the 7 points.
Yeah, there's no doubt. Absolutely, I totally agree with that point because the Cowboys are a good offensive team, regardless of who's on the center right now. Cooper Rush is, I think he did a pretty good job against the Bengals. Nobody saw that coming. Everybody thought the Cowboys were just gonna, lose that game outright, and they came out and they played the Bengals tough, and they came out with a win. But the next point I was gonna make is the Giants are 2-0, and a lot of fans thinking, that they're turning the corner. I think 2-0 is a bit too soon, but if they win this Monday night game against the Cowboys, I for damn sure think that the Giants have turned that corner to a winning team. Because if they go 3-0, there's no saying what else they can do the remainder of the season. I know it's a long season, and I know the Giants are going. I know the Giants are going to face some tough teams and some tough quarterbacks and some tough defenses down the road. I think we're playing 4 or 5 elite quarterbacks on the schedule this year. They're going to see their shares of losses. There's no doubt. They're not going to go undefeated. I'm not saying that, by any means, but they are going to see some tough games.
Oh
But
yeah.
if they beat the Cowboys on Monday night, then I will start thinking that the Giants have turned that corner.
I would agree with that. And this is a big game because then you got the Bears, and that's then you're thinking, wow, that's another winnable game. But the 4 games after that, Packers, Ravens, the Jaguars, be careful. Jaguars they have the number 1 overall pick from a year ago, Trevor Lawrence, who is he looks like her. I mean, they have an elite. They have elite pass rush. They're starting to pick it up. They have a big time coach. So the Jaguars waiting in the weeds, and in 3 weeks, the Giants could fall on some hard times here. The Seahawks aren't good. The Texans, but the Lions are better than people think. So, and then you got the division opponents, kind of the Commanders and Eagles, which are the Eagles are going to be really tough. So we got to take advantage of these early games. We discussed that beginning of the year. I think Dable's done a good job of keeping things in perspective, just going week to week. Got to take advantage because Dak's going to be back for our next matchup, most likely, right before Thanksgiving. So, we really need to. I think that if I want to. This is a big game for Daniel Jones. I mean, this is against the Cowboys. He can win over fans if he has a big night. If he has a big night,
And
this
we're
could
talking
change
about a
his.
big night, as in 300 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, possibly 3 touchdowns, maybe a
If he,
rushing touchdown in there. I'm talking about a big game. I'm not talking
yeah,
about a measly 175 yards, 188 yards like he's done in weeks 1 and 2 here against the Titans and Carolina. I need to see more out of Daniel Jones. I
yeah,
need to see him throw the ball more. I need to see him be more decisive with the football. I need him to, run the ball more when he needs to run, and he needs
hmm
to run with the speed that we know he can run with. At times in week 1, I just didn't feel like he was running at his fastest speed, and
yeah,
we started to see that more against Carolina, but he needs to do more of what he did on that. What was it? That 3rd and 6 play to
yeah. It was a
clinch the
big play.
damn game. That was a 10 or 11 yard gain that gave
Yeah,
the Giants the first down, and right there it was the game clincher. We need to see more of that. I just think that this offense right now is still struggling. But again, going back to the missing parts. We haven't seen Kadarius Toney on the field that much. We haven't seen Kenny Galladay. We haven't seen Wan'Dale Robinson. We've seen, plenty of Barkley. I think he needs to be the key against the New York Giants. The run sets up the pass. How many times have we said that over and over and over again? The run sets up the pass. If you can run the ball, you're going to be able to throw the ball. Play action, you bootlegs, do whatever you need to do, but get Daniel Jones in a position where he can throw the ball, make a completion, and hope that the receiver can get more yardage after the catch, and set the Giants up for some big points. The other
yeah,
thing, turnovers. The Giants need to make their opposition pay for turnovers. Holy shit, I don't know how many times the Giants have been able to get the ball, especially in those first 2 possessions against Carolina, where they got the fumble on the opening kickoff, and then the fumble what the hell's his name, Anderson,
I think so.
right? Yeah,
Yeah, it was on the opening kickoff.
yeah. The opening kickoff, they got the field goal for 3. Then there was a catch by Richie Anderson that got them 3 points. They need to get. They can't leave points. They can't leave points off the board. They
Yeah,
can't. They got to do better than that. They got to make their opponents pay for turning the ball over. I don't know how much I have to stress that. Coming
yeah,
away with 6 points and on those 2 fumbles was just. I just needed to see more. I just needed to see
yeah.
more.
I would agree. And here's the challenge, though, is that we want to see more from Daniel Jones, but Daniel Jones is not Joe Shane or Dable's guy. So I don't. Even though we want to see a big night, the pace of the game's going to dictate that. Not dictate that. Now, I think when you have a scary Micah Parsons, you got to have an eye on him over the field. That's where I think your point comes into play, where Jones needs to be more effective as a runner. If they're blitzing, Jones might have to see him coming off the edge, step in the pocket, find a crease. They might have to do more design runs like they did last year. Remember Jones on a primetime game, he ran an 80-yarder, then he fell, for
Yeah, I
that
remember
was
that.
but he is capable. I think he doesn't want to make mistakes. So he's played a little tentative when he's running, perhaps. He's looking around, he's double clutching. So this is probably one of the biggest games of his career. Um, because it's a division, it's the Cowboys, and like anything that happens in a Giants Cowboys game is going to resonate more with the fans. Pull out a win, a decisive win against the Cowboys. That's a big deal. But I don't know how many times they're going to ask him to throw it. I mean, it depends on if the running game gets going too. And I think Dallas's defense is pretty good. They held Joe Burrow with their elite weapons to 17 points. But Cincinnati is in a big time funk. They have a bad offensive line, so I would think the Giants are going to have to keep an eye on number 11. Barkley needs a big night. He's got to have 100 yards. He's got to get a touchdown. He's got to pop off a couple big ones, because what that does is that opens up the playbook a little bit. We can't have a first half of 3 points or 3 and outs, not getting anything going. We need to get the crowd into it. So I think
See, that's
Barkley
why.
needs to
That's
have a
why
big
I
night.
think
Yeah.
it's. I think that's why it's key that guys like Wan'Dale Robinson and Kadarius Toney are in the lineup. Kenny Galladay too. I think he. Granted, he's having his issues with with his head coach, and his head coach is doing his head coach thing and saying, listen, if you're not going to play by my rules, you're going to sit. And by all means, that's what he needs to do. But if Daniel Jones has the likes of Kadarius Toney, Wan'Dale Robinson, and Kenny Galladay on the field, who knows what Daniel Jones can do? I think he would be. I can only imagine him having a stupendous game to where he throws 300 yards, possibly 2 touchdowns, maybe rush for 1. I think those are the situations that Daniel Jones needs to be in. Sills and Richie are not going to be the guys that are going to get the job done. They'll make a good catch here and there because you know what, they're given the opportunity to do so, but they're not Wan'Dale Robinson, they're not Kadarius Toney, they're not even Darius Slayton or Shepard.
Yeah.
Those are the guys that need to step up and do the right thing and help Daniel Jones succeed. Those are the guys that are going to help him succeed. Because if those guys don't do their thing, Daniel Jones can't possibly help these Giants win in Week 3 against the Cowboys on Monday night.
Yeah, I agree. And they got to pass protect. I think Thomas is having a good year so far. They're gonna have their toughest test, and it's also about Jones not turning over the ball, as we said. I mean, we can't have the fumbles bobbling around the field and going 20 yards the other way. So, if I had to guess what the score would be, I mean, it's going to be. It depends on I'm not sure what the weather looks like. It's probably going to be a nice fall evening. It's going to probably be like, I mean, you want to keep the other team, Dallas, if they get hot, we're in trouble. But I mean, it's got to be 23-17, something along those lines. It's going to be close, 23-20, 20-8, 20-19. You're going to see a lot of Graham Gano field goals. As much as we want Daniel Jones to go big, I don't know if they're going to let him put the ball in harm's way. I don't know if the defense of Dallas is going to allow that to happen. I mean, we also don't want to have the drive short. You don't want to, Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, they can throw the ball 3 times in a row, but they're completing passes and getting big plays. We do that, we take 1 minute off the clock, and then then you're putting yourself in a hole. So it really kind of depends on what we do on the first drive. I'd like to air it out a little bit early just to kind of let them know, like, we're not just going to feed it to Saquon the whole game.
Yeah, I like to see
take
that.
Your chances.
I like to see that because I'm tired of seeing, possessions by the New York Giants where they run 15 plays and only get 36 fucking yards.
Yeah.
I don't want to see that. How do you run 12 to 13, 14, 15 plays, whatever the hell it was, and get it only like 40 something yards, 30 something yards?
Yeah, can't just check it down.
Yeah, I
We
mean,
got to get guys open.
you got to do better than that. I know that Kafka and Dable got this team going in the right direction, but I know you're depleted as far as the roster is concerned because of what Gettleman did with the cap and everything, but still, you have the weapons in Tony and Robinson and Shepard. You have them. You need to start utilizing them.
Yeah,
And and granted, some of these guys aren't healthy, but when they are healthy, they need to be on the field at this point because now it's not about you made your point as a head coach. You made your point to Kenny Galladay. Now, whether or not Kenny Galladay buys into the system, I don't know. There was that situation where somebody came and asked Julian Love if Galladay's locker was emptied for whatever reason. They thought maybe he just like emptied his locker and left the team. Julian Love said, no, I kind of left early too. I kind of cleared out my locker, so he kind of like blew that off as if it was nothing. But whatever the situation is right now with Kenny Galladay, it needs to be fixed because he's a very talented receiver and he needs to be on the field. And I'm sure that Brian Dable knows that. I'm sure that Kafka knows that. I'm sure that Joe Shane knows that. But the fact of the matter is whatever the differences are, they need to they need to resolve the differences and get
yeah,
these players on the field and get them in situations to make Daniel Jones successful. Specifically this week against the Cowboys, where I'm sure that these Giants players really want this team to win and go 3-0, specifically this week against the Cowboys, who are in their division. And like you've mentioned many a times, they've kicked our ass for a very long time.
yeah. And it's going to be interesting to see how the game opens up.
They need to
And we
start
got to take
fast. They
advantage.
definitely need to start fast.
Yeah,
They can't get off to a slow start and allow if they get the first possession, I need them to go down and score 7. We might
that would
not
be
get
nice.
7,
Yeah.
but it'd be nice to get some points. Get on the
Yep.
board. If you get the first possession of the game, you need to go down and get some points. Preferably, 7 points, but if you can go down and get 3 points, and I'm saying a good drive to where maybe you get into the red zone and you get stopped and you kick the field goal. No, I'm not talking about getting to, field goal range and kicking for 3 points because you feel like you can't get past or beyond that point. I think the Giants offense are taking chances. I don't know how many chances they're going to take with Daniel Jones. Like I said,
They're going to have to.
they're
Yeah.
gonna, yeah, in this game they're going to have to, but they're going to have to put him in good positions. But again, it all depends on who's on the field,
Yep.
and who's not on the field. That's what it's going to come down to. Because quite honestly, Saquon Barkley can't do it all on his own. You can
No.
get him the ball via the pass. You can let him run the ball east and west, north and south. But the fact of the matter is if the Cowboys come and stop that run, now it's up to Daniel Jones to beat the Cowboys defense, and we know
You just
that's
can't get behind by more than 7 points. That is the thing. I mean, we can't. If you go by them or 10 or 14 points, then it plays right into their hands.
yeah. Because the
They're going to
Giants
run
don't
after
score
them.
enough points in order to
No.
keep up with an offense like the Dallas Cowboys, regardless of who's on the center, and that's going to be the key. That's why
Yeah.
that's why if the Giants win the coin toss, they need to take that ball. They need to take that kickoff, take it down, and get some points on the board as soon as you can because you don't know, what the rest of the game is going to entail. Because Cooper Rush might have a good game. He may not have a good game. But again, it's the defense. I'm not worried about the defense as much as I'm worried about the offense because I think there's still work to be done on the offensive line. I still think there's a lot of work to be done with Daniel Jones. I think that if the right guys are on the field, they can set Daniel Jones up for success. But on defense, Wink Martindale, I think, has done a phenomenal job taking away the main focus of the opposing team. Derrick Henry in week 1, Christian McCaffrey in week 2. Who knows who it is in week 3? It could be CD Lamb, it could be Ezekiel, whatever, Elliott,
Elliott, yeah.
or it could be his backup who they feel is
Tony
going to be.
Pollard's pretty good.
Tony
Yeah.
Pollard is a speedy guy. He broke for a couple of big plays in the first 2 weeks.
Yep.
This Cowboys team, regardless of whether Dak Prescott is under center or not, they're still a very dangerous team. And like you said, if they get some points on the board, it's going to be hard for the Giants to climb up that hill and get those points back because they're just not an offense that scores that many points in order for them to play keep up with the Cowboys.
I agree. I would just counter what you said. I would defer. I want that because we're home. I want Kayvon Thibodeau if he's suiting up. I want those guys out ready to go on the first drive, and I want Cooper Rush on his ass. I want the Giants' big blue defense to set the tone right away because that is the strength of our team. So as much as I'd love to go down and score, to get the crowd into it, to get the team some confidence, I'd put your strength out first. I'd get the defense out there, try to get a sack, try to get a 3 and out, make Cooper Rush on a Monday night division game that's really important. Kind of make him try to do something because it's going to be the loudest the stadium has been probably in years. It's going to be at a different level on Monday night.
Can't fucking wait.
Yeah,
Oh
me neither,
my God. Where you watching the game?
So I will be with my girlfriend. I'm celebrating her birthday on Sunday. Got to take her out to dinner
birthday.
Monday. Yep. And then Monday night we'll probably go to the local watering hole. We'll watch it inside. So I'll be watching it, from Long Island. But yeah, it's Monday night, dude. It's great. It's the only game on. The world is watching, and you remember there's going to be some stars that are born. There's going to be it's going to be under the microscope. Mike McCarthy this is a big game for him. This is a big game for Daniel Jones. This is a big game there's a lot of players with a lot riding on this game. And I think the Giants are in a position of strength here. The fact that they're 2-0. They're not. If they were 1-1 or 0-2, it'd be a little different in terms of feel. But the Giants are in a good position right now, playing with some confidence. This is going to be our toughest test. It's going to be another nail biting, anxiety, agita, a lot of that going on Monday night. You know it's coming. So
if all the chips fall in the Giants' favor, I can't see how the Giants lose this game. And like I mentioned, when I'm talking about chips, I'm talking about Wan'Dale Robinson, I'm talking about Kadarius Toney, I'm talking about Kenny Galladay, I'm talking about everybody being on the field and chipping in for a big Giants victory. You want to do some predictions?
Yeah,
you don't want to touch it.
I'm not going to touch this. I can't. Just Cowboys can't do it. We discussed this offline a little bit. Some picks. Going to start a little contest. We'll get into it next week too. The person who's got the best win percentage, I guess, gets a case of beer. So we'll determine that later on. Some of the games I like this week: New Orleans Saints versus Carolina Panthers. New Orleans Saints, I got them -2.5. I got them on Tuesday. Line moved up to 3. I love the Saints in this game. Carolina, to me, looks defeated. Baker Mayfield is going to play a home game here, but I think he's fallen out of favor with the fans. Matt Rule, he's looking at the Arizona State job.
Is that what he's doing? Is he looking at the Arizona State job?
I think that's
quite
what
honestly,
I'm hearing.
They're talking about he's out in Carolina if he loses his game this week.
Yeah, so I think Matt Rule, listen, when you only have Sam Darnold and, PJ Walker and Baker Mayfield, it's tough to win. College coach, no NFL experience. He's in over his skis a little bit. I think this team is reeling. Christian McCaffrey, he's injury riddled. You can't rely on him. The offensive line isn't great. Their defense plays hard, but they're not going to win a lot of games. The New Orleans Saints, they're going to be pissed off. They lost to the Bucs, and that's a team that they usually beat. So a New Orleans team off of a loss that has a lot of pride. They got Tyrann Mathieu on the team. They got Landry. They got Kamara, who might be back. But they have a talented roster, and that Saints defense is very good. So New Orleans Saints on the road laying 2.5. I love the Saints. I jumped all over it. So I got the New Orleans Saints -2.5 against Carolina. I think that they're going to win. It's going to be a close game, but I think they should definitely cover that. Second game I like that I looked at was the Detroit Lions versus Minnesota Vikings. Minnesota Vikings came off a very, just a no-show performance.
7 fucking points, bro.
7 points.
What the fuck was that all about? I took the
Yeah.
over on that fucking game and didn't even get close.
I took the over too. I think in the first half it was 24-7 and no points after that. So I missed on the over that game too. I didn't touch the game. Minnesota Vikings, to me, I think there's some doubt with Kirk Cousins. I think that he hasn't really gotten them over the hump in years past. The Minnesota Vikings defense has been riding on reputation. I don't think their defense is that great. Detroit Lions, I'm telling you, man, this team is different. They have a really elite running back. They have a great offensive line that they've built over the years. They can rush the passer. Their quarterback is okay, Jared Goff, but he's playing well, and he's probably just as good as Cousins. Detroit Lions are 6-point underdogs on the road. They don't do well against Minnesota usually, but I think Minnesota is a defeated team. I think that they have some questions about the quarterback. The receiver didn't get the ball last week, Jefferson. I think Detroit's got some good secondary guys too. I think Detroit can win this game outright. I know they're 6-point dogs, but it wouldn't shock me if they go in and beat Minnesota on the road. Give me Detroit Lions getting 6 over Minnesota. So those are my 2 picks for the week. I like the New Orleans Saints on the road as 2.5-point favorites over Carolina, and I like Detroit +6 at Minnesota. Those are the picks for the week for me.
Yeah, there's some tough picks this week.
Some really tough picks.
All right, here's one I like, and I'm just basing this on how bad the Bengals have been the first 2 weeks. I'm gonna take the Jets are getting 5.5 points. I'm gonna take the Jets at home plus the 5.5. You writing this shit down?
Let's write this down. Hold on. You like the Jets as 5.5-point dogs?
Yeah. And let's see here. There was another one I liked. I don't ever touch Giants games. Man, that Buffalo-Miami game is very intriguing.
You think there's an overreaction? Wow.
Yeah, Miami is getting 6.5.
The line
They're playing at home, and Tango Vailoa is coming off of a 5-touchdown game, 6-touchdown game.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm gonna take the Dolphins in the plus 6.5.
Wow. Okay, 2 dogs. All right.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the 2 dogs.
Dolphins plus 6.5. I think it was plus 5.5, but I think a lot of people bet on.
I'm on FanDuel. You use
FanDuel.
You use DraftKings.
Yeah, I think they end up being the same. So they're home against Buffalo.
Yep.
Buffalo is they're a juggernaut. You can't say
they're taking they're taking no prisoners, bro.
They're playing angry. I'm gonna wait a few weeks, but I'm not gonna say they're the 2007 Patriots yet, but let's wait maybe 5 weeks. But they've dominated their opponents. I mean, Tennessee gave them a fight, and then they just totally blew them out.
Well, they haven't missed a beat.
Had a big game.
They haven't missed a beat without Brian Dable. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, Tua had a big game last week. Had a big second half. I mean, the Baltimore Ravens defense.
I had him on my bench, bro. Defense. He was on my bench. I started Mahomes. I mean, who's gonna sit Mahomes?
I had Mahomes. Nobody
over Tango Vailoa. Nobody's gonna sit Mahomes. Yeah. And Mahomes did shit. And Tango Vailoa was on my bench, putting up 5 touchdowns. I was fucking crying.
Yeah, that was. I mean, so I didn't do good on the NFL last week. I had the Ravens minus 3.5. I looked in good shape at halftime in the parlay. Then they faded, and then I also had the Cleveland Browns, who, it's just they were up big too, and then they last minute and a half they blew it. It was insane. So that's just that happens, Had a pretty good college football day, but yeah. So those are my 2 picks. I think the Lions can go into Minnesota and win outright, but they're getting 6. I don't.
Jared Goff is having a pretty good season, man. He's having a good season.
When he has protection, he's good. Remember that big Monday night game against Mahomes years ago? He had like 5 touchdown passes, 500 yards. If he has protection, he's decent. He went to the Super Bowl. I mean, that Patriot defense in the Super Bowl was unbelievable. And Belichick just outcoached McVay in that game. I mean, that's really all that comes down to it. But, Jared Goff, he's a first-round talent. I think he was first or second overall with Wentz that year. So he can toss the ball around. They got good backs. The wide receiver, Jamison Williams from Alabama, he's going to come into the fold later in the year. They're playing hard for that coach. Minnesota, to me, man, that was – I just think that there could be some doubt with Kirk Cousins. It's just too many points. I think Detroit's going to keep this really close. Even if Minnesota comes back and they're inspired, I think 6 points is a lot for a division game like this. So that's why I like it.
Goff was first overall that year. Wentz was number 2.
Yeah. Jets plus 5.5 against Cincy. It is hard for me to believe that Cincy's going to lose 3 in a row. I'm not going to say.
Well, I don't think the Jets are going to win. I don't think Cincinnati's going to cover.
Fair. I think Cincy's got the better quarterback, but they're also at MetLife, and they're going to be jacked up.
Right.
So there is some element to that. And also the offensive line for the Bengals is no good. So you like Quinn and Williams. You like some of the Jets have some talented guys. I mean, the quarterback is, they got a good win last week. The quarterback is going to make some mistakes.
They're being led by none other than Joe Flacco.
Flacco. Yeah. I mean, the Browns
37-year-old Joe Flacco.
Yeah, I think that people might be thinking too, like, Cleveland could have won that game if they take a knee and blah, blah, blah. So there is some of that logic too, that maybe Cleveland kind of coughed it up.
Could have, should have.
The Jets could have been on too. So I think that I don't hate that pick. I think Cincy, they might just turn it on. Dolphins, Buffalo could be close. I don't know what the weather. I mean, Miami is kind of hot and steamy. I mean, does that affect some of the Buffalo players? Maybe they get like a little tired. The Miami wide receiving core is dangerous and fast. They don't run the ball particularly well, which you're going to have to do a little bit against Buffalo, because Buffalo is going to score points against anybody, and the Ravens put up a lot of points against the Dolphins. So Buffalo is going to score 30 points, 35 points. Can Tua keep up with them? Because Buffalo, they play good defense too. I mean, so that's a tough one. That's one that I'm going to wish you luck on that one. But
right.
We'll see how it goes, and we'll keep this thing rolling.
Any closing comments, Jamie?
All right. No turnovers, or we need to win the turnover battle by 2. 2 turnovers.
And we need to score points on those turnovers.
And off of those turnovers, we need to get at least 3 or 7 points. And we're going to really pray that some of our pass rushers come in, because if we have those guys, I think we got a shot. So
I think if Ojulari and Thibodeau are in this lineup, that opens up a lot of big things for the likes of Xavier McKinney and Julian Love. Those two
Leonard
guys
Williams
they've been really good at the safety position. McKinley's been really good in the box. I don't know how many times they had McKinley rush the quarterback this past week, but we need to see more of that. Listen, when he was drafted by the Giants, remember we talked about this, that McKinley was a multi-talented safety. He played. He had experience playing linebacker, and he had experience playing, at the safety position. And I think the Giants are utilizing that talent in all the right ways. And I'm glad I'm seeing it. I'm glad that he's being successful. But again, the key to this game is going to be this Giants defense, and whether or not Thibodeau and Ojulari are back. Those are going to be key. You got to put Cooper Rush on his back. You got to force fumbles. You got to recover those fumbles, bring them back for a touchdown. A pick 6 would be nice, but that's going to be the key for the Giants on Monday night against the Cowboys.
Score. If the Giants win, score.
Got to score more than 25 points.
I'm asking you, what is the score?
Oh my God!
We got to
put me on the spot. All right, so I'm going to say 26-23 Giants.
Okay, respect that. I'm going to go 21-20 Giants. Graham Gano field goal. 21-20 Giants.
As the clock expires.
It's gonna be.
It's gonna be a nail biter.
It's gonna be. always.
I'm gonna have a fucking heart attack Monday night. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so am I.
All right, Jamie. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. This was a lot of fun. We'll do it again.
You bet. See ya.
Take care, brother. Good night. Peace. Let's go, Giants.